like she's so there, and he can't figure out what he's doing. And that's why the song's like, she's on fire and on a wire. She's got no taste and you're a waste. So then, like, I'm singing him out the door for her. I'm just being like, bro, like, stop wasting her time. You know what I mean? And then it switches to, like, first person, where she quite adores him. That's why, you know, she, like, I think it's, like, set in Chicago or something in my head. You know what I mean? Like, it's somewhere snowy and cold and kind of, like, melancholy, but not too sad. Like, that's just the visual I get. And, like, he's, like, packed up his things, and, like, it's like, bittersweet right there, you know? But then, like, we go back to, but you wasted her time, leave. And then at the very end, it's from her point of view. She's moved back home to Georgia, and she's putting on a good show for everyone. You know, everyone says that she's doing fine, but internally she knows better, and she still thinks about this person all the time, even though it was not right.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of like the overarching storyline of the song.
Very cool. I can definitely relate to that in relationships.
Yeah.
You know it's not the best, but you still kind of...
Well, it's like, I don't know, a thing that I've heard a lot of people say, it's like, especially if it's been a minute that you've been together, it's like, well, you've come this far and you've put in all of this effort, you know what I mean? To, like, make it work. And I think that we all know sometimes the heartbreak just isn't, like, the actual heartbreak of losing the person you care about. It's the heartbreak of, like, working so hard to make a thing work and realizing that no matter how much you care about each other, it's just not working. And, you know, Judy Garland said, there's a quote from her that I love, and she said, "How strange it is, the death of an illusion. It's like losing a child." And that's something that I very much have related to in my life, where I threw myself so into certain scenarios and situations, and it was almost harder at the dissolution just to deal with the fact that I had been kidding myself the whole time, more than the actual dissolution of the relationship itself. You know, just like learning that you had spent all of this time and realizing it wasn't what you thought the whole time. You know, like, you guys are just very different people sometimes, and like, and when you really like certain things about a person, you can really ignore other things that you really don't like about them, almost to the point of realizing, not even realizing that those things exist. You know, like the human mind can really trick itself into thinking what it wants to think. And that there's a lot of, I attempted to say that without saying that in the song. That's the feeling I hope that it evokes in people, is that, like, they will relate to that particular experience. You know what I mean? Just like, there's just so many feelings that go into the dissolution of that type of relationship, where you're the person who really wants it to work, and you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know what I mean? Like, you're just waiting for them to sign up or get out. You know, like really do this or don't.
Commit or not, don't commit.
And that's kind of the feel of the song is, you know, like, finally she realizes that the person is going to stay non-committal. And so then she ends up having to make the choice for him. Like, it's not that I don't love you, but you are never going to fully be what I need you to be. So go ahead and leave. You know what I mean? Like, I've decided for you. Since you can't make up your mind, get out. You know, and like, that's a bit harsh, but at the same time, like, that's a thing that happens sometimes, you know?
You just played a show last night.
I did. I played at Changes Music Hall in Southeast Portland. Yeah. It was intimate.
Yeah.
Friends of mine obviously came, and there was a woman named Dawn that I actually met from Craigslist. She books for events in Vancouver, and she brought several of her friends who I got to meet, and they were incredibly charming. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the venue. It's a non-alcoholic eatery, which I think eatery is just another way of saying restaurant, but like, this, apparently it used to be like a super swanky, like, rock and roll music club, because like the stage and the sound setup was great. I'm not at the point yet where, you know, like, I'm having packed houses.
Right.
You know, I'm working on that, you know. I'm trying to get out and connect with people. I think in the near future, instead of focusing on shows, I'm going to focus on more like singer-songwriter-oriented open mics that already have a following, and kind of like try and go out, because like I've been here for a few months, but I've not met a whole lot of people. You know what I mean? Like I've been working, like I've really just started like this music project, while it is the result of years of preparation, is also still a baby because it's happened like really quickly. I don't really know what happened. I just like met this person. His name is Matthew, and he's kind of been serving as like my mentor through this process. I met him through a friend, and he's 20 years-ish my senior, and is an amazing voice, absolutely amazing vocalist. And he's released multiple EPs and records, and whereas I've never really, to this degree, pursued anything like this, and he's just kind of off. I don't know, like we just had this conversation, we hung out one day, and he was like, well, why don't you just do it? And I guess I'd just been making so many excuses for years to not make a record, to not pursue music professionally, because I just had this thing in my head that like, someday I'll be ready. You know, like someday I'll be good enough. Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, I mean, you're really good now. Why don't you do it now and then just keep getting better? You know, like what? Like if you keep waiting for that day and you're as self-critical as you are, that day's never going to come and your life's going to go by and you're not going to make anything and you're going to wish that you had. So, I don't know, it was just like the kick in the pants, and I was just like, oh, and then I just started like researching sound engineers and studios in town, and I went into the studio at the Map Room Studio with a guy named Josh Powell, who's an excellent sound engineer. He's also going to be mixing the EP. And then Matthew and I are arranging, so we've done the lead vocal and the piano track, and then Matthew and I are arranging all of the overdubs, which is background vocals, any other instrumentals, and we're going to record it in his studio. And then Josh is going to assemble it into something beautiful, and then we're going to have it mastered. And then all of it, like, it's really happening so much quicker than I thought it was going to, you know, which I like because I'm incredibly impatient. Mm-hmm. So that works. You know, like a 6-month marathon recording, like that's why I'm glad I'm keeping it simple for the first effort, because it's going to be clean and it will be honest and it's not going to take forever. You know, like, I don't know if I have the patience to spend 6 months working on 4 songs. You know what I mean? Like
do you have ideas for future records or
I'm always writing.
Albums already?
I'm always writing. Yeah, I'm already writing another record. You know, like that's just, oh, there's a thing. Does that matter?
Yeah, it's telling me that the battery's low, but it's 20%, and that's plenty.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I write constantly. I have this one right now that's nowhere near done. How does it go? Where the chords? I have it written down. I don't know, but it's this really fun song called Hollywood, and the chorus just goes like, I still believe in Hollywood, even though by now I know I should have given up long ago. I see that now I'm on my own. Like it's actually very much about this process that I'm in right now, where like I still have this delusion of grandeur that someday like people are gonna give a shit and like my music's gonna be everywhere and like there's gonna be this awesome like collaboration with artists and photographers and videographers and writers and just like this amazing artistic life, and it's gonna be outside of my head finally, because you know like I have this artistic life in my mind,
right?
But it's gonna be this like reality, and that's what this particular song that I'm working on, and it's not going to be on the EP, but like maybe I'll record it as a single or there's a bunch of songs that I have already written and that I'm writing that are not going on the EP. I just had to make a decision because otherwise nothing will ever happen.
Right.
And I just had, and I think I made the right choice of the songs that are going to be on this particular EP. Like, I'm torn between calling it Jeff Drew Jones, which is my name, just as like a self-titled debut EP, or, you know how like Lady Gaga had like The Fame as her EP and then The Fame Monster as her album. If this got any sort of traction, I might re-release the EP with other newer tracks on it as a full record. That's I don't know, I'm still figuring out the whole marketing, and you know, I've been reaching out to a lot of people online. There's a woman at PPR FM, which is Portland's local internet radio, public radio. Her name is Anessa, and we've spoken about having me on the show and playing one of my songs on the air once it is finished. I'm talking to photographers and videographers and booking people. I'm still, because you know, I've never done this before, you know, so like I'm very much, this is my first, like a lot of people like have their process established. I could tell you all day about my writing process, but in terms of well, in my recording process is I rehearse a lot, then I go in the studio and I knock it the fuck out. Like, I just, like, get it done. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not about wasting time in the studio. Like I practice everything ahead of time, and I have it all mapped out, beats per minute, timing, everything, voices doing this. Then I go in the studio and I do it. Because what I did in the past is, like I said, I wouldn't really have a solid vision. So I've got that process down. But the meeting people, marketing people, or marketing to people, the relationship between, like, the live show and the merchandise and the EP and the perhaps music video and raising money. You know, I have a GoFundMe and a website. I just designed, I can't say I designed. I do know HTML5 and CSS, and I am capable of designing a website. But for the sake of time and having a website that is clean looking and will show up on any medium, like cell phones, computer, whatever, I just went ahead and used WordPress as medium, as a content management system, and just designed a basic clean looking website. So I designed JeffTrueJones.com is my new website. Just myname.com, and it's got my music, it's got links from YouTube. So instead of, like, having to, like, look at the camera and be like, here's my Reverb Nation, here's my Instagram, everything is now in one home, and they're all linked to each other. So that's a thing I did, and then I made a GoFundMe. So far I've raised $50.
Nice.
It's a start. You know, it's because, like,
where do you find your GoFundMe? Just go through your JeffTrueJones.com.
Yeah, or you can go to GoFundMe.com/JeffTrueJones.
Okay.
Yeah, everything is Jeff True Jones. My Facebook is Jeff True Jones. My Reverb Nation, which I'm kind of retiring. I'm switching to SoundCloud. That's the thing. It seems to be where more of the professional people are living. So that's just I'm just going. You know,
packing up.
Yeah, just like, I mean, like, I'm not going to delete my Reverb Nation. It's just like I probably will not release my EP on Reverb Nation. I will probably release it for streaming, not download. For streaming on SoundCloud, and then I'm going to have it available for purchase on iTunes, maybe Amazon, you know, CD Baby. I'm still exploring these different avenues. I'm also going to make physical copies of them as well. Some of which, like, I'm thinking of doing, like, a thing of, like, if people donate to the GoFundMe, then they just get a free copy of the CD, because it's, like, basically, it's like, what do you, like, pre-order?
Yeah.
Whatever that's called, like, where you, like, order ahead of time. Like, the CD's not done and not made, but if you want one, if you donate, like, $5 to $10, that's about the cost of a CD, of what the CD overall. So, then there's your CD. I don't know, something like that.
Right on.
I'm also, yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with the EP once I have it. Hopefully people will want to hear it, I guess. You know, like I said, I'm new to Portland, so I'm trying to be more selective about where I book shows. I've just been kind of, like, booking like a crazy person without any real plan, and I've realized that I should probably book venues that draw the type of crowd of the type of things I want to play. You know what I mean? Like, I've been playing, like, farmers markets out in the middle of BFE and just, like, what have you, and, like, that's okay. But also, since I have no CD yet, I have nothing to give them, and no one is paying me. So it's like I'm, like, busting out to the middle of nowhere to play to people that have no idea who I am, and might be like, well, that's nice, but, like, I have nothing to give them yet. So I'm still working on, I think I'm going to be more selective, and because, like, I'm in the studio next week recording, and, like, I'm working with Matthew, I'm doing the arranging this week, and getting all of that rehearsal done, so when I go in the studio, I can just knock it out. So right now, I think I'm going to step back a little bit on some of the live performance and focus more on making a solid EP, and try and focus more on opening for people that will draw a crowd of the type of people that will want to hear singer-songwritery kind of cabaret torch singing music. You know what I mean? Like, there's no point in me playing a metalhead venue. Like, they might acknowledge that it's good, but it's probably not going to be their cup of tea. You know what I mean? So, like, and I'm trying to, this is the first time I've ever really tried to figure out branding. You know, I've never used social media actively. I've always had it, but I've never used it as a means to promote myself. I've never promoted myself. You know, like, I came from a small enough town where everyone knew me, so I knew everyone, so I would just be like, hey, person that I know, can I have a show? And they would be like, yes, and I'd put it, like, 2 weeks out, and I would be like, everyone I know, come to my show, and then they would, and I'd have, like, 40 to 100 people at my show, and it was, like, easy peasy, here, I know no one. So it's like, I've never really had to work very hard, and I know that sounds incredibly entitled, but, like, I've never had to work very hard to get people to come see me, so I'm still kind of trying to figure out how that works. You know, I'm meeting with someone tomorrow to get some original me merchandise design. She's a local